Welcome, everyone, to the Player Prop Happy Hour Week 3 edition presented by the 33rd Team. I am your host, as always, Josh Larky, and I am joined by Ryan Reynolds and Ben Wolbransky. As always, we are going to give you 9 player prop bets in the span of 15 minutes or less, hopefully. Ryan, I'm just going to kick it right to you. Give us a prop bet for this upcoming Sunday.
There's a lot of negative speak out there about Najee Harris. I'm going to take his over 49.5 rushing yards on DraftKings. It's moved up to 50.5 and 51.5 a few sports books over the last few minutes. That doesn't concern me at all, really. Here's why I'm doing it. Pittsburgh's faced 2 premium fronts in their first 2 games. Run fits matter in the running game, ladies and gentlemen. Harris's volume has been low, but he's led the backfield in carries. I expect this game to be close. Steelers have a really strong guard duo where the Raiders are very soft in the interior. Raiders are giving up the 3rd most rushing yards to running backs so far this season. That came against Denver and Buffalo, who aren't exactly high-end rushing defenses, or offenses, rather. Harris beat this number 10 times last year. 49.5 is a very beatable number. So is 51.5.
Ryan, I like that line. Tell us about the look today. You're sporting a different look than usual.
Yeah, I mean, I on the platform Mojo, I put some money down on Shedeur Sanders early. When you make $20,000 in profit on a gentleman, I'm just paying a little tribute to the Sanders family with the Dion sunglasses line here.
I like the fit. Ben, give us your first prop of the day.
Speaking of winning $20,000, my first prop of the day is Isaiah Hodgins over 30.5 receiving yards. Getting roasted on Twitter for that one. It's fun. No, my first prop for the day, we're going to be taking Russell Wilson over 20.5 completions. I got it at plus 105. I think right now it's plus 100 on DraftKings against Miami. Since last year, quarterbacks versus Miami have gone over this number in 13 of 19 games, and both of Justin Herbert and even Mac Jones topped this number so far this year. Even though Russell Wilson is 1-1 on this prop, he's had 34 and 32 attempts, and he's now facing the Dolphins, who've allowed the 16% more attempts and 24% more completions than the league average so far through 2 weeks. In his one loss, when he had those 32 attempts, he only had 18 completions. But he faced the Commanders' defense, a team with the 4th lowest completion percentage dating back to last season. Quarterbacks facing this defense pretty not great because of their above-average defense. Kendall Fuller, rookie standout, first-round pick Emmanuel Forbes. Lastly, Wilson's attempts line 32.5, and in Broncos games where he's had more than 32.5 attempts, he's 6-2 on this number.
I like the sound of that, guys. This is Ryan Reynolds, NFL on Twitter, and Ben Wolbransky on Twitter. Make sure you give them a follow, and make sure you check out Underdog Fantasy. Promo code 33rd. You get the 100% deposit match up to $100. Quite possibly the fastest growing platform out there. And at the end of the show, we are going to be giving out a pick 4 entry for those that want to play along and have some fun on Underdog Fantasy. Promo code 33rd. 33RD. For my first prop of the day, I am looking at Zay Flowers over 49.5 receiving yards. It's minus 115 on DraftKings. He's facing the Colts. The Colts this year have already allowed 5 different receivers to have at least 55 receiving yards. And we just need Zay Flowers to hit 50. Nico Collins, 7 catches, 146 yards. Calvin Ridley, 8 catches, 101 yards. Robert Woods, 6 catches, 74 yards. Tank Dell, 7 catches, 72 yards. Zay Jones, 5 catches, 55 yards. Zay Flowers, Mr. Flowers. Zay Flowers has at least 62 receiving yards in both games. The rookie has looked good. Odell Beckham Jr. has been ruled out for this contest. I know that Ryan has said, quote, I think this is the worst cornerback room in the NFL when discussing the Colts. So I feel very confident when the film and the numbers are aligning with a prop like this. Ryan, I'm just going to kick it right back to you for your second line of the day.
And that Colts them into the worst perimeter corners in the league. Probably still true for overall, but they're really, really rough on the perimeter. Now, play number 2 here, gentlemen. Ramondre Stevenson over 22.5 receiving yards, minus 115 at BetMGM. Expect this to be a muddy, ugly defensive game. I don't think that's a surprise for anyone. Jets have an excellent pass rush. Last year, Stevenson caught all 6 of his targets for 56 yards and all 7 of his targets for 72 yards in his 2 matchups against New York. It's early, and the Jets have given up the 5th most receiving yards to running backs so far this year. He has 9 targets so far this year against the Eagles, who also have a little trouble with running backs in the passing game. Ramondre caught all 6 of his targets for 64 yards. Ezekiel Elliott also had 7 targets in that game. Ultimately decided to go with the yards over the receptions at 3.5, but I think there's way more paths to success than failure in this one.
Have to agree there. Ben, hit us with your second line of the day.
I'm rolling with another quarterback prop. I'm taking Derek Carr's longest completion over 36.5 yards, minus 115 on DraftKings. The Packers, they've only allowed this once. They're 1-1 on this so far this season. The win to Ritter, the loss to Fields. But dating back to last season, Green Bay has allowed the 3rd most completions of 37 or more yards, 17 total, 1 per game. And in that same time frame, Derek Carr, he's averaged 1 completion this long per game. That ranks the 4th highest in that time frame. This season, however, he leads the NFL in completions of 37 yards or more. He's got 4 of them. And why? How is he doing that? He's got 2 to Olave, 2 to Rashid Shaheed, but even Michael Thomas and Juwan Johnson, they've had receptions of 25 or more yards. He also has 4 attempts of 37.5 or more air yards, ranking 2nd behind only, you guessed it, Mac Jones. Carr, he's still a gunslinger, and with weapons against a bottom 10 Green Bay secondary, I will take Carr, his longest completion, as my second prop of the day.
This might be the show this week that said Derek Carr's name the most. We were talking pre-show. People just don't have a stance on him. Good, bad. He's vanilla ice cream. Now, before I continue, if you want more props, because some people out there are greedy, 9 props in 15 minutes is not enough. Hey, we've got you. Hop into our free Discord. You can find it on pretty much any of our articles that are free on the33rdteam.com. You can immediately find that link. If you don't want to visit our site, I would strongly push back on that. But you can also go to Twitter, find me at JLarkyTweets. And I've got a link in my Twitter bio. So that way you can join our Discord. Everything in there is free. We'll have many more player prop bets from the 3 of us and about half a dozen other of our betting contributors. You get start, sit, trade advice for fantasy. Jordan Vanek and Hilo, who lead our DFS team, are dropping all their showdown thoughts for all the primetime games. There's really no better place to hop in. And we crossed 2,000 members earlier this week after having 600 at the start of the season. I think if that's any indication of anything, it means we're doing a good job out there. So we work hard to keep that free. You should hop in there. My second prop of the day, I'm just going to go with maybe the best running back in football at this point now that Nick Chubb is injured, and that is Bijan Robinson. I'm going to take him over 22.5 receiving yards. It's minus 115 on Caesars. It's minus 120 on DraftKings and BetMGM. It was minus 110 earlier today, so I think that is good. We are trending in the right direction. Bijan Robinson has at least 5 targets, 4 catches, and 27 yards in both games. We just need him to hit 23 against the Lions. Bijan Robinson is actually leading the Falcons with 11 targets. It has been extremely clear to me through 2 weeks that this is the focal point of their offense. There's a reason they spent the number 8 pick on him in the draft. They're essentially running their offense through him in many ways rather than Desmond Ridder. Ryan, I'm going to kick it to you for your third and final prop of the day.
I want to bet against Deshaun Watson this week, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to take him to throw an interception at plus money, plus 112 on FanDuel. Straight up, Watson's been terrible through 2 games. Titans have an elite run defense, as we mentioned before. Run fits matter. Titans have, I won't even say they have an edge there, but that's more of a draw, and they've shut down everyone in the first 2 weeks. Mike Vrabel's one of the better coaches in the league. We can reasonably expect a close game here. This one's on Watson, given the Titans' struggles in their secondary. Watson's thrown an interception in each of his first 2 games. My only real concern here is the Browns' front and defense essentially wins this game outright. That allows Cleveland to be more conservative, but I'll take this at plus odds.
Yeah, I think Ben and I agree. Anytime you can bet against Deshaun Watson, we are going to be very excited about that. If the math, logic, film all aligns there, it's a great day to bet against him and have him throw a pick. Ben, your third and final prop of the day.
Josh, you and I had a pretty fun Twitter exchange this week over Deshaun Watson. Similarly, our final props are both the same guy.
They are.
Joshua Dobbs, our favorite quarterback, giving away another plus money prop on this show. That's 2 for me this week, 2 big boy props, plus the one that was just shared by Ryan Reynolds. I'm going to be taking Josh Dobbs' longest rush over 8.5 yards versus Dallas at plus 100. Dallas has allowed 4 quarterback rushes, the 4th most this year of 9+. He allowed 2 to Zach Wilson. He allowed 2 to Daniel Jones. Dobbs also has 2 on the season of this number or longer. And Dallas has allowed 21 such rushes dating back to the start of last season, which is good enough for the 5th most, despite their awesome linebacking group of Jaron Kearse and Micah Parsons. I wouldn't necessarily call Dobbs a mobile quarterback, but he does have 3 rushes in all 4 of his starts. He's 2-2 on this line. But the Dallas defense, I think, makes way for a little bit of a good opportunity. 60-40 play. My model likes it at about 60% as well. And when you can get that at a big boy plus 100, I'm going to take that.
Yeah, it's always good when we're independently aligned. I think anytime 2 of us both are in on a certain player, and in this case, all 3 of us, because I know Ryan and I texted a couple days ago about how we were looking for some Dobbs props. The one I liked, very similarly to the one that you took, would be Josh Dobbs. I took it over 13.5 rushing yards. It has moved to over 14.5. I'd still take that over at 14.5. It's minus 110 on DraftKings, BetMGM. If I look at my old stomping ground player profiler, you can see that Josh Dobbs ran a 4.6 4.40 time. That's 88th percentile for quarterbacks. Not only did he used to work at NASA, he also is fast, and we like that. He had -3 rushing yards in week 1, but he had 3 carries, so that's at least a little promising. But then week 2 against the Giants, he had 3 carries for 41 yards, letting everyone know that he does in fact have wheels. Dallas this year gave up 43 rushing yards on 13 carries to Daniel Jones, and Zach Wilson ran 5 times for 36 yards. Essentially, this Dallas pass rush is so ferocious that quarterbacks are running for their lives. As Ryan put it, if Josh Dobbs can survive this game, these overs should cash. So at this point, we're mostly just hoping that he simply survives. So I wish good health to Joshua Dobbs, both for the sake of him and for the sake of these props. Now, I hinted at Underdog, and before I give you the Underdog pick'em entry, we've got a pick 4 for everyone out there. There is a running back out there that is playing for his career this week in a great matchup. Ryan, what are we looking at, and what might we be dropping in Discord soon?
We're going to discuss Alexander Madison as soon as the show is over. His line opened right before we went on the air. You know, if you listen to our shows all the time, you know Josh hates Alexander Madison as a person, but this week he's interested. I'm interested. I was hoping the line would be at 46.5. It's a little higher than that, but like Josh said, we'll discuss it more in Discord later today.
Guys, before we get that Underdog pick'em entry, Ryan Reynolds is at Ryan Reynolds NFL on Twitter. The man watches every snap of every game since 2014 and lives to tell about it. And then we have Ben Wolby at Ben Wolby on Twitter, the only person on the planet who simulates every single prop 100,000 times with his code because he doesn't trust himself and he needs the computer to run 100,000 simulations for him. I'm Josh Larky, your host as always. Let's talk about this Underdog pick'em entry. We can hit Ramondre Stevenson higher than 22.5 receiving yards. Nice little analog there. If we're doing a little pick'em entry on Underdog. Russell Wilson, we can also find higher than 20.5 completions. And then we've got Josh Dobbs higher than 14.5 rushing yards. And we've got Bijan Robinson higher than 22.5 receiving yards. That's a pick 4. And if all 4 of those picks go higher, then you will 10x your entry fee. That sounds like a pretty fun fantasy game to me. Underdog Fantasy, promo code 33rd, get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you throw $100 onto their app With the promo code 33rd, you suddenly have $200 to spend. Ben is shocked. The math is hard for him there, but we think we can all get through this. On a serious note, I'm Josh Larky. He's Ben Wolby. He's Ryan Reynolds. From the three of us, from Underdog Fantasy, from the 33rd team, from the 33rd team Discord, from my hatred of Alexander Madison. Thank you, everyone.